Right, guys. So I'm just gonna wait until it's 5 past in my computer. But what we are gonna do tonight is again just a quick questions and answers. If you have had any issues with the dog since last time, anything that you would like to know, and then after that, I would like to have a quick recap of everything that we said in the last 4 or 5. Is this the 5th session? 5th, right?
Yeah, 5th,
yeah. So see what people can remember, what you can throw in there. You know, it doesn't matter how superficial you think it might be, but okay, Anka, Paco, I can't see you. Right, Anka.
You carry on. I'll respond.
I'll carry on. Rob will look after the technical part of things, and then again, we're gonna try to keep it to an hour, just so I don't bore people. So if we manage to go through all these, quick recap, we're going to be talking about calming signals and recognizing when your dog is a little bit stressed, when your dog is saying, not happy with this situation, okay? And if we could finish with a little bit of feedback on your part, guys, on how these sessions have gone, if you find them useful, if you like more of blah, 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 or less of blah, 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 just throw it there, okay? Right. Okay. So, Joe, any issues with Dacia? Anything that you want to ask since last time?
There's been no big issues, but I wanted to ask, it's something she just does occasionally, and I don't know if it's a problem or not, and that is eating grass.
Mm-hmm.
It's not all the time, but just occasionally when we're outside, she grabs a mouthful, and I don't know if it's bad for her or anything like that.
Pretty normal dog behavior.
Okay.
A lot of dogs will do that. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
Some of them will be sick after that,
mm-hmm.
And there is a common, what's the name? Common misconception, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
that they eat grass to clean themselves.
Okay.
Again, how much they are conscious about it, how much do they feel, I got a bit of a heartburn, I gotta get some grass.
Yeah.
But they do that a lot. Is she being sick?
No.
Has she been...
No.
Okay. Nothing to worry about, okay? The only thing maybe just to bear in mind is that, dogs, especially Labradors, they eat anything and everything. You don't know how much of this world is edible until you walk with a Labrador. So yeah, no worries with that.
Okay, cool, thank you.
Anything else, Violeta? Did you had a dog at the moment or not? Remind me, please.
Yes, I have Chili.
Chili, that's right, correct. I'm asking you this every single week, and you always tell me the same answer.
Yeah, that's because I had a few dogs, and
okay.
Maybe you know the story with lots of dogs, so you're confused right now because you don't know which one it's now at my place.
Okay. So, any questions about Chili? Anything or any issues about dog handling, maybe with previous dogs? Anything that you want to ask?
Not right now. With Chili, everything's okay because he's a very well-trained dog and he is ready to be a guide dog.
Yeah.
He had this issue getting stressing in the kitchen, but now I'm using the Kong for the time I'm in the kitchen. So his record was 1.5 hours with a very good, very good stuffed Kong. So
I was going to say that means very good, very Kong stuffing technique. Well done.
Yeah. I'm getting better at it.
Tell us if you don't mind me. Tell us how you stuff the Kong. What do you do?
How I do it to fill it, or how I do it to give him?
Yeah. How do you do it to fill it? If you put it inside, how do you do it?
In the morning, I measured the food, and just to be the amount of food for his morning portion, and I take from that, I think like 8 to 10 biscuits from his food, and I put his food in his bowl for him to eat, and the rest of it I keep it in the measure the box, and I add some warm water, and I leave it like that for 4 to 5 hours until it's pretty expanded and it's very very soft. After that, I just put everything inside of the conch, and I try to stick everything there,
Okay.
and I leave it to the freezer for 6 hours. It has to be more, yeah, because if it's just for half an hour or 1 hour, he has only 10 minutes with it.
Okay. Okay. So that gives you quite a long time of no chili, yeah?
No chili in the kitchen, because that's the
kitchen,
stressful aspect for him,
Okay,
being
cool.
around us and smelling
fantastic.
the food he's not allowed to taste.
Okay, just remember as well that that's absolutely fine, no issues doing that. You can always remember put the dry biscuits inside the cone and put the cone in water, and that would save you having to kind of put, having to get your hands dirty and mash all that inside, so that's a way to do it as well.
That's,
okay?
yeah, I never thought about that, but it's a good tip.
Cool. I'll come back to you later on, because you've been mentioning about him getting stressed in the kitchen, okay? So let's bring that topic back again later on if we've got time, hopefully, and you can tell us what you see, what do you see in him that makes you think that he's a bit stressed, okay?
Okay.
Cool. Brigitte, anything to ask?
No, nothing new, so.
Cool. Which, by the way, I have to add as well that we'll see what is going to happen from now on, but this could be our last session, okay, tonight. I've been wanting to do, a little bit of this just to help you guys, being at home when you were stuck with the dogs, and we felt that it was, quite useful as well anyway to take this as a little bit of extra training for you guys as well, okay? So whether if we take it forward or not and how often, we need to discuss that, okay? But let's take this as a final session. So don't leave anything behind, yeah? Don't leave anything there. In there. Okay, cool.
No. But Daisy has been selected for breeding. So for me, the situation is a little bit different. So.
She's Didi, correct?
No, Daisy.
Daisy. Okay, yeah, exactly. Yeah, for you, the guide dog technical side of things, might not apply to you, but obviously we still
I'm still interested.
Will behave and that you are in control.
And at least when she has pups, can give some recommendations to the people, and hopefully they can watch the video. And I think we should always have these kind of sessions whenever we have new people on board, particularly with pups, so they can do the right things right from the beginning, which I think is very important. Which it's something that I believe was missing when we had the D generation with the volunteers, and I think some of us were not quite sure what we were doing, and that would have been very useful to have these sessions at that time.
Cool. Okay. Well, we'll pass that on, definitely. I mean, I really enjoy doing these sessions, and I'm glad that they've been useful. I do think they've been useful, but obviously you are the judge of that. Chris, how you doing?
Very well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, same as Virginie, really. I don't really have any sort of detailed questions or any updates with the guy over there who just likes to sleep, really. He doesn't really do much, which suits me fine. But I mean, personally, I found the sessions very, very useful, Paco. And it's a shame, it's not going to be a continuous thing, but I think it's probably quite a large undertaking for you guys, so I can see the reasoning. But yeah, I mean, nothing for me, really. Nothing to add.
No, that's fine. No, thank you for the feedback. Right. So,
Could I ask
does
a question?
everyone? Of course, you can. Please, Rob.
Just a question on going to bins, like around the house. The dog I got at the moment, Casper, is quite partial to checking out the bins. Like not necessarily taking things out, but just having a look in there, sniffing around at quite a few opportunities. Anything I can do to discourage that?
I got 2 bins here in the office, and they are high up. You cannot see them because you've been blinded by the light, but they are high up. Put them in a cupboard. If your kitchen, units, if you've got a lower one where you could put it in there. We look for and that was because of my German Shepherd actually. We look for a bin. What is it called? Human. Anyway, with a special lock for dogs, to avoid the dogs going in. The best thing that works 100%. Don't let the dog get access to the bin. If you can put them higher up. If you can lock them away, or not necessarily with a lock, but put them inside a unit. That probably is. Again, Labradors, they'll see food and it's like if they've never seen food before, or they think this is the last bit I will ever have, the wall is gonna end tomorrow, I need to eat this. So put it away, and don't be afraid of if tell them no, if they are going close to the bin, no.
Yep.
Okay,
thanks.
is that?
Yeah, I mean, it's an answer. I mean, again, saying no is kind of like, okay, I'll say no from that bin. Okay, I'll move to the next bin. No.
I've known people like similar example, because at the end of the day, this is around scavenging. Whether if it's on the floor or in your bin, or whether if it's your sandwich or you just leave in the worktop while you're just gonna wash your hands. I've known dogs that guide dog owners or boarders will swear this dog will never get the sandwich, or we will never get. And I really think that what they are doing is they're just buying their time, and they just make you feel secure, that false sense of security, and they don't want your crisp, they want the chicken roast dinner, so they're waiting for that. So it's too big of an attention, coffee tables, dog hide, so just try to, in the same way that if whoever has had kids, have children, when there is a toddler in the house, you don't leave a knife on the coffee table. You don't leave, an open bottle of wine, because you know that sooner or later it's gonna be gone. Knockout, huh? No, obviously, the children drinking the wine. So, any other questions? No. So, if it's quiet enough in your back end, okay, open your mics, okay, because I want you to participate. I want you to talk. Let's try not to talk on top of each other. I don't know how this is going to work, but tell me things that you remember. There is different topics. I got written down here some of them, I think, topics that we have run through before. Tell me something that you remember.
The test.
No marks, don't worry.
There was the bed training, the bed command.
Okay.
And the strengthening the command. Okay.
And remember that the calm, you want to put your treat in your hand, put it by your side. You call the dog and let the dog nibble while you're grabbing the dog's collar with the other one. Okay, and once you have the dog collar, then you release the biscuit. Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
Spending.
What's that? Sorry, spending. Okay. Why is important spending? You said spending, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, why is it important to get a dog to pee and poo, a training guide dog pee and poo before going for a walk?
Well,
Because
okay, somebody
Chris,
I
go
else.
for
was
it.
going to add, it can be very distracting for them.
It's very distracting for them. There is nothing more frustrating as well for the guide dog owner to kind of, well, you have a dog that needs to spend on the walk, you might have stop, start. You stop, you think, oh, the dog needs to go. You put the dog in the gutter and the dog doesn't do it. And you bring it back and then you, or whatever, you put the dog in the grass and you start again. And you're starting to get late for work or for your meeting. It's very, and again, when you are totally blind, the dog might be stopping and you're not quite sure why. Maybe it's needing to go, is he sniffing, there is an obstacle there. Okay, so really, really important. Anything else? Any other things, guys, that you remember? Anything that stuck in your mind? Hopefully there will be something, even doesn't matter how superficial you think it might be.
I mean, last week we talked about stopping and sitting like right next to you, so as close as you can get, just so that which we've been practicing this week. Delta's very good at it.
Okay.
We talked about that, and then I didn't attend it, but I did watch it back. You did the health check as well, and that was really interesting.
Okay, very good, fantastic. Okay, so hi Dana, how are you doing?
She hears.
Yeah, I will continue anyway. So yeah, checking and grooming, very important. Going to take opportunities to go through that with your dogs when you remember.
Mm-hmm.
Obesity. How can we make sure we don't feed the dog more than we should? Anyone can remember?
I do.
Yeah, Chris, go ahead.
Brilliant idea, and we started doing it with Casper and Dexter for the 3 weeks. Literally, put all the food in a box, and then snacks, treats, meals, everything comes out of that box, and then you know that you're giving them the exact same weight.
Exactly, and when you know that that is 350 grams or 400 grams, and the dog starts to put weight on, you cut down 25 grams or 50 grams, or if the dog is getting skinny, you top up, so that's exactly how it is.
I mean, how quickly can a dog put on weight, Paco? I mean, if you're looking at a dog from every day to the next, you can only really notice when you see a photo. You think, oh my God, it's put on a lot of weight since that photo last year. So how do you? I mean, obviously it takes someone else to tell you you've got an overweight dog.
It depends. It depends on every dog. But what I'm not entirely. I cannot give you 6 weeks or. But what I can is longer. It takes longer to take that weight off.
Right.
Did you get that? Sorry. So yeah. It takes longer to take that weight off the dog. Okay. So before you know, one day you look at the dog and say, oh gosh, you what is your waist? And then it can take a bit of a time because you have to be very strict. You have to find out why the dog is putting weight. Really, this is unless there is something health-wise wrong with the dog in terms of hormones or taking some medication or whatever. It's very basic. It's very simple. It's just like us,
Yes.
You have an intake of calories and you burn those calories. If you have more intake than what you burn, then it goes up.
Okay.
So you need to work with the food and with exercise. In winter, we tend to see maybe dogs getting a little bit bigger because it's a bit colder. People don't fancy going for long walks in the same way. You might not be so active. So that's fine, Then you just cut down a little bit. And just manage. There will be days where if for whatever reason, I've been doing paperwork all day, or I've been in meetings or whatever, and the dogs haven't done too much, I say, you know what, these 5 biscuits that are left, forget about them, don't worry. Okay. So we have the amount of food that we give them, and we can work with that depending on, how much exercise they do and how much weight they put on.
But what's the right weight they have to have?
Every dog is different. Chile, I think Chile might be in about 30, around that. There will be dogs that, there will be smaller dogs. Dacia is smaller. Dacia will be probably around 30 kilos maybe. This is from the top of my head. But a Labrador, the dogs that you normally guys have, females will be around 30 kilos maybe. Some of them less than that. Males will be 34, 33, it depends, okay? With obesity as well, what you have to be careful about is that one of the first things that you see is they then losing their waist, yeah? So it gets around, just like us, we get a bit of a belly, but there is also internal fat that can accumulate around the organs, okay? And that's a worrying one as well, okay? Because that is the one that can lead to heart failures, it can lead to respiratory problems and things like that, okay? Basically, a big dog, a fat dog, we are cutting down their life. That's as simple as that, In summer, they will be more susceptible to heat stroke. They will be less tolerant to exercise. It's just something that, we don't really want them to go into that. Can anyone mention, if I say dog language, can anyone remembers anything at all about dog language?
Yeah, you talked about the tail and the ears and the way they point. And you talked about the gentle leader as well and eating poo.
Good one. Yeah. Going back to the gentle to the body language, we were talking about ears and tails and growling and all that.
Yes.
Remember, guys, that we need to look at the big picture. We need to look at the context. Okay, so just one thing, might not, it might just give you the wrong message. But if you look at, the whole body language, the situation, is a deep growl or is a more lighter growl? Is it showing the teeth and the tail is down as well, or is just showing the teeth and wagging the tail with a toy in his mouth? So remember about that. Okay. We've been talking about gentle leaders. So, and I remember, I'm not sure if anyone by any chance wants to show us anything about gentle leaders. Anyone who likes bikes, for example, maybe anyone who has a couple of nice bikes hanging up on the wall. I don't know if they want to share anything with us.
Yeah, I know who you are speaking. We just had a small incident in our block, let's say, a small fire, and we had to evacuate.
Yeah. Are you guys okay?
Yeah, all good. So this is why we couldn't start the meeting. I just went. I'm outside with Desmond right now.
Okay.
And I started to hear you since 5 minutes ago, I think. Yeah. So
listen, Katalin, if this is not a good time for you, I mean, don't worry, mate.
It's okay. It was a minor incident.
Okay then.
Yeah. One of our neighbors.
Okay. Well, Katalin, what we are doing is actually just doing a little bit of a recap of things that we've been talking about during these 5 weeks. This might be the last session that we do. We need to kind of, sure about this, but we're just kind of doing a little bit of a review of everything that we've been talking about.
Okay.
So feel free to obviously throw there if there is anything that, I want everyone to contribute. Okay. Sure. What else? We've been talking about coprophagia, I think. That was one of the first topics on the second.
Yes.
Remember anything about that? If I say coprophagia, does anything comes into your mind apart from obviously the whole image of dog eating what they shouldn't? Is it a normal thing, coprophagia? Is it something strange in dogs?
Yeah, you said it's absolutely normal behavior, normal dog behavior. Sometimes that could mean that they like minerals, but with the diet that they have, it's unlikely that it's the case for these guys. Yeah, just to I guess tell them no and distract them with a treat.
Yeah. That's again, every dog is different. The reasons why every dog might eat his own poo or other dogs' poo or other animals' poo might be totally different to each other. But the advice will be, I feel with coprophage, I think is more about managing rather than trying to cure it or to solve it. It's just something that needs to be managed. Okay. Right. Anything else? Catherine, you got any questions?
Can I just jump back in on the gentle leader side of things?
Please do.
I was encouraging Casper. I know that from his time with you, he didn't mind the gentle leader. I made it into a sort of a game, like to chuck, like with me in hands, to push it over to the left to get him in it, and give him maybe a treat to back over to the right, and he pushes in it. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't want to encourage him to get too excited about it, but it was just good practicing, seeing him, get it in there.
That's fine. No, that's fine. Absolutely fine. Because I think what you need to bear in mind is that the final behavior is not the whole moving around like that.
No.
The final behavior is that you put it there, the dog comes in, and you are able to clip it with no problems.
Yeah, great. I just wanted him targeting it.
So, but part of, again, let's think about the final product, let's call it, okay? This dog is gonna go to someone who might or might not be able to see the dog at all, and they just know that the dog is in the room, and they just kind of bend down a little bit and present the gentle leader like that, okay? And they might actually be facing totally the wrong, the dog might be behind them. So yeah, it's good that the dog, but you want the dog to kind of go and actively looking for the gentle leader and getting it on, okay? And remember that the minute that you see a little bit of a step back on the dog, the minute that you have to lean over a little bit, means that dog is backing off, and that's the beginning of the dog just making it more difficult for you, and that's the beginning of a dog just who will start to back off, and you'll have someone chasing the dog around the room with a gentle leader. Any questions? No
questions, but to be honest, we started the challenge you proposed, and we did it blindfold, and we had no problems at all. He comes wiggling his tail, he puts his nose through the gentle leader without no problems. Yeah.
And you don't have to step forward to put it on. You don't have to.
No. He's happy to put his head through the gentle leader.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
One more thought about
sometimes.
Go ahead.
Sometimes a bit harder to untangle the lead and the gentle lead, but otherwise it's perfectly okay.
Oh yeah, you mean that the gentle leader can be a bit. It's a bit of a fluff about. It gets a little bit tangled and all that.
Twisted.
And yeah, so cool. Another reason to make sure that you have a really positive dog with that, because you don't want a dog that is a little bit unsure, and the minute that sees you trying to work out the gentle leader, they think, I'm off. I don't know.
He waits. So, he's patient. He's patient with me.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And remember that those dogs that are on gentle leaders, remember to keep your gentle leader clipped to the lead all the time. Remember that we want them to see the gentle leader and have the same meaning that the lead alone might have. They see the gentle leader and it's attached to the lead, they think, I'm going out for a walk. Okay? So, questions? Right, let's talk about calming signals. Let's talk about what your dog might do when he's feeling a little bit under the weather, when he's feeling a little bit stressed, when he's feeling a little bit uneasy about something. Violeta, you were mentioning about Chili getting a little bit stressed. at meal times. Why do you think? Why do you think that is? What were you seeing on him that what was making you think this dog is stressed?
Because he's stretching his head around here, and we thought it's a medical problem. We went to the vet, and it's nothing wrong. And we started to see when it's happening. And most of the time it's happening, as I told you, around our dinner time, when we are in the kitchen and we are cooking something that smells very powerful, or it's something that smells delicious for us, but for him also. I don't know if you can hear me. I think we lost Paco.
Okay.
No? Okay. Your screen is freeze, so. Okay, so we started to watch him when he's scratching his head, and it was around this time. So we tried to send him to his bed, which he did, but also being there in the bed and not with us in the kitchen made him stress also. And after that, we used the Kong for the time we had to be in the kitchen, and we noticed that he stopped scratching. I don't know if it's just me or maybe I see a message that your network is low.
Some of the pictures are frozen for me, but your audio is fine.
Okay. So you got the message.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. And everyone got the message as well? Yeah? Got some thumbs up at all? Yes? No? Yes? Good. Very good example, Violeta. Very, very good example, okay? So that scratching, okay, could be a form of displacement, okay? Could be a form of, let's talk about humans, okay? Can anyone give me an example of what you do when you are stressed?
It's very strange because I also have this, it's a small medical issue. My skin, when I'm stressed, gets red, and I need like scratching, but I'm not doing it because I'm a human and I know I can hurt myself, but it's a special condition regarded to stressful time.
And we got exactly the same in dogs as well. There is dermatitis atopy, and it's pretty much, and in dogs we see and check chili, okay? Because it might have a little bit of redness between the paws. I'm not sure if you were here in the last talk, the usual last talk about checking, a bit of redness there, and you can have ear infections, and all that can be accentuated with stress. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, his paws are dry. It's no red there, no pink skin, but it's a little bit dry. Maybe because we have to clean his paws every time we come back from outside, but we have some special napkins from the vet to use for his paws, but maybe that's because they are a little bit dry.
Yeah. But yeah, absolutely. You got a bit of a skin condition, and if you're stressed, if you are, if things are getting tough at work and all that, that gets a little bit worse. I get cold sores, when I'm stressed, and I cannot hide it. Everyone could see that, Are you stressed? Yes, look. Sam, anybody else? What do you do, guys, when you are stressed? Well, there isn't anything that you do in particular, Regine?
So she's pretty cool. She used to get stressed when she was very little, actually. I know you've said not to project human feelings on the dog, but I remember when we had her first, and she was little, and the kids were on holidays, and then they started going back to school, and her behavior changed radically when the kids went back to school. The house was quiet, I guess, and also the kids were playing with her a lot. And for several days, I wondered if she was sick, if there was something, and she didn't want to go for walks in the streets, you know. and I've noticed when she was little several times, it seemed to me that she was really sulking. Like, you know, I'm not happy, I'm sulking.
But why, Virginia? What did you see? What did she actually did to make you feel that?
So I would take her. I mean, she would have her ears down. She had her eyes looking droopy. I would try to take her for a walk, and she would sit in the street and not budge and not go anywhere. So that's when she was little, and you know, I would have to. I think she probably was stressed, or I guess she didn't understand what was happening with the kids going to school. So it took a couple of weeks, and then she was all fine. But I had to, I guess, reassure her, and I took her to school with the kids. Then that helped as well. So I would walk her, and then she would see them again in the courtyard of the school before the school started. And so she got used to the new routine, I suppose, and then she was fine with that. Now I've taken her to a lot of places, and I've taken her on escalator and airport and all that. So she's pretty adaptable now. She doesn't get stressed easily. I would say, you know, there are still things that she doesn't like, and you can see in her behavior that she's not really, you know, that she's not enjoying it that much. But
let's go through some of the behaviors. Actually, in humans, we will bite our nails. We might sweat. We might not be able to, you know, to speak eloquently. We just might have a little bit of. So there will be people who might just scratch. There may be people. I can see Jo biting her nails a little bit and touching the hair and all that. And those are things that makes you feel relaxed, that makes you feel comfortable. And so in dogs, for example, your equivalent to biting your nails will be scratching suddenly. Okay, there will be. How many of you have seen your dog yawning? In a particular, maybe you'd raise your voice, or you're telling off because you're seen him doing something, or you get a bit too close and your dog just throws a yawn there. Okay, and it's not 6 o'clock in the morning, it's not 10 o'clock at night. Okay, that is just a behavior to tell you, you know what, I don't want any trouble. You know, this is a bit too much for me. Okay, so we got yawning, we got the scratching that you mentioned before. Okay, we might have lip smacking. Okay, I've got a little book here actually, which it might have some photos of it. Lip smacking. Okay, so that is when the dog starts to lick its lips, and that might be a way of tell you, I'm a bit. This is not easy for me. I'm a bit. So you tell your dog off, and then watch him how it probably will go. And again, it's not after a meal. It's not, you know, panting. Okay, which is your equivalent to, you know, our equivalent to sweating. Okay, so this is a photo. I'm not sure if you can see. This is a dog lip smacking. Okay. Panting, when a dog is too hot, they don't sweat, they only have a few sweaty glands. Bring that temperature down is by panting. Okay, and how many of you have got your dog go for a walk and your dog starts to pull like a tank and it gets to the park panting? Have you seen this before? Yeah, Chris? It's pulling, it's wanting to get there, is pulling your arm off, you're checking him back, you might tell him off, you might tell him stop pulling, you might give him a check on the lead, and the dog is just getting more and more anxious and more stressed, okay, and start to pant, okay? And when they start to pant, what you might find is that they start to listen less to you, and they have more erratic behavior, and they may start to suddenly sniff on the ground, and you tell them to sit and they don't sit, you know, and you think it's just being stubborn, okay? So maybe rather than just being stubborn, what you might have is a dog that is telling you this is a bit too much, you know, okay? So the sniffing, I was talking about the sniffing. There is a difference between a dog putting the nose on the ground and concentrating on getting the scent up and calmly sniffing here and sniffing there. Is very different to a dog that suddenly the head is down, head is up, it goes down and it sniffs a little bit and goes up, okay? And if we put all that in context, you might just sit and then suddenly scratch. And then you might tell him no, and then he just might throw a yawn, okay? So I'm sure you might have seen this before. Sorry, Rob.
One more question on the behavior. Like the body shakes. Is that stress or is that relaxed? I'm relaxed or is that I'm stressed?
The body shape. Like
a shake. Like if they like.
Yeah, as well. Yeah, I haven't gone through all of them. There is loads of them, and you'll see. No, it's okay. And you'll see that some dogs use, you know, in the same way that some people bite their nails, you know, and some people sweat and some people smoke. Dogs will have their kind of their default behaviors with this, yeah. But yeah, suddenly shaking, you know, it might be that the dog is just trying to release. There is two things here. Is what the dog will do when it's trying to calm you or calm another dog, okay? So, for example, if I see someone who is really, really aggressive, okay, or is going like that, giving me eye contact and going like this, okay, I might think, this guy is just gonna have a go at me, okay? If I see someone in front of me and he's just yawning with his hands in his pocket, you know, I'm not gonna take that guy as a threat in the same way that I took the first one, okay? So the dog will be doing things there to calm you down, okay? So you come back home, you open the door, and you see your son chewed to pieces. And then you get angry, and you look at the dog, and you give the dog a row, blah, 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 blah. You raise the voice, and you look at him, and you go over the dog like that, okay? And the dog obviously doesn't realize that he's been told off for chewing the sofa. He's just seeing someone who came through the door and gave him a hard time. And your dog start to yawn, start to lip smacking, okay? They start to turn their head away, which is a really interesting one. Okay, I'm not sure if you can see that. And if you I haven't done this, but I'm sure that if you type in YouTube guilty dogs, you know, you'll see a lot of these things, okay? You get close to a dog, okay? And again, or even if I get close to you, you know, nose to nose like that, okay? If you want a confrontation, you're gonna stare at me and you're just gonna keep your nose like that. If you don't want a problem, you're just gonna go like that. It's all right, mate, I don't want a problem, okay? So that's the same what they do, dogs do that as well, okay? So turning the head. How many of you have tried to get a photo, a headshot of your dog, okay, very close, and they don't flipping look at the camera, do they? Why?
Every single time.
Okay, what is he telling you?
Maybe he's not interested, he doesn't want to, I don't know.
He's telling you, get off my face.
Yeah, he's not interested.
You're too close, yeah?
Yeah.
So again, you know, that's what they do, you know? You just turn your head around.
She posed for photos, so.
Does she? Okay. Well, I think she's a bit of a model. She's not bothered. She doesn't get stressed on the catwalk.
Yes.
So if you see, for example, as well, a dog trying to calm another dog in the park. If you see two dogs going head to head, okay, going like that. If they meet in the park, this is dog number 1, this is dog number 2, and they just go like that straight to each other, okay? And again, remember, we need to look at the context. You know, if you see ears up, you know, the head is up, the tail is up, and they just go like that, that is going to end in a confrontation. What a dog will do the way that a dog will behave when approaching another dog, when they don't want any troubles, is they walk on a curve. So rather than walk like that, they will walk like this. How many of you have seen your dog going to see another dog and they just go around, they go for the back end, and the other goes for the back end as well, and they start to go in circles a little bit. Okay, again, if I'm walking by, I don't know, in England, whoever lives there has lived there, the typical narrow path along the canal, you know, if I see someone coming at me, directly at me, giving me the eye and all that, I'm thinking, oh gosh, you know, what is it? But if the guy goes to one side and gives me way and doesn't look straight into my eye, you know, I'm thinking, all right, just being polite, just letting me pass. Okay. So again, these are things that the dogs will do as well. And when it's a little bit slow to come back, and then finally you tell him, right, come here, blah, 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 blah. That dog might not come straight to you in a straight line. That dog is going to come in a bit of a curve. Have anyone seen this curving before? I love Chris' face. Chris, your face is saying, gosh, if I knew all this before.
No, I've just got a hangover. Sorry.
Oh, no, okay. Oh, gosh.
I've seen that when retrieving something. Say if we're playing a game and they brought something back, I've seen a dog like go round something and then bring it to me.
Yeah.
If that's the same behavior or not.
Maybe, yeah, because after that you say, leave it. Come on, leave it. No, leave it. No, leave it. Come on. And then they might get a little bit like, and they get a bit of that internal conflict because they're retrievers and they want to bring things and they want to bring it to you, but then they're gonna get under stress a little bit because then I need to drop it. Maybe, yeah, could be. Okay. So remember, yawning, lip smacking, panting. Panting is a very easy one to spot. Okay, especially if it's not hot, especially if the dog is not running. Okay, walking in a curve. Okay, sniffing, and remember, it's a bit of an erratic sniffing. It's not concentrating. That is not trying to get all the scent up. Okay, bowing even as well. You know, a play bow. You know what I mean by play bow? This is a play bow. Okay, which is what they do when they want to have a bit of fun. Okay, and again, you might find that you walk into your living room, you see your sofa destroyed, you know, and some dogs might just go and they start to play bow, you know, and you get even more angry because now you think your dog is taking the mic and now it wants to play, you know. Maybe just trying to say, you know what, I don't want any trouble here. I don't know why you're upset. You just came in and suddenly, you know. Okay, so that is all calming signals. That is things that your dog might do when they feel a little bit stressed. Okay, any questions about that? Chris?
Yes. What does it mean when a dog destroys something? I mean, we've had dogs, I think 3 of ours have momentarily found something and destroyed it or eaten it. But that's sort of out of the, you know, and there hasn't been a regular, they don't do it regularly, just every now and then. we come home, or we go downstairs and there's something that the dog has chosen to destroy.
Okay.
That'll-
It could be many things. So it's
character.
out of character.
Yeah.
I don't know. The answer is I don't know. But reasons behind that could be boredom. Just the dog just doesn't know what to do, And chewing is another natural thing. I mean, dogs do a lot of things that really don't fit. Dogs do a lot of things that they don't really fit into, the human sort of etiquette. We don't want them to pee in the house. We don't want them to chew your sofa. We don't want them to. So we bring them out of nature and we bring them into our lives. And we need to bear in mind that some of this behavior might still occur. So what you need to make sure is that you give them something to chew, like an eye bone or antlers. Or we were talking about this at the really beginning in the first session. And you teach them. You tell them you don't chew this. You chew this, okay? The same way that, again, those of you who have children, you don't want your child to paint on the walls, you give them a piece of paper and you tell them, you can paint here. You can do whatever you want, do your art here, and we're selling, we will be millionaires, but don't paint the wall, okay? So tell them what you want them to do, okay? It could be that they are a little bit anxious. It could be that they suffer a little bit of separation anxiety. They're not happy being left alone. And then suddenly, maybe that day, you went for a bit too long, and he's not ready for that, okay? So it will depend on what they do, but what you need to make sure is that they have enough mental stimulation, physical stimulation, and that they have appropriate things for them to chew, and that you tell them what they should chew and what they shouldn't. Okay, I just want to finish with something that I wasn't going to talk about, but Regine told me about children and the dogs being a little bit stressed with children, and I think it's something really, really important, because this could prevent your children from being bitten. And not only your children, but maybe your friends who come over with children, or any other situation where the dogs might encounter children. If you are a Labrador, a 30 kilos Labrador, okay, a 4-year-old boy will be as tall as you, if not taller, okay? It might still not be 100% coordinated with his movements. He has a very high-pitched voice, okay? Arms are going all over, okay? And although all children want to hug and kiss and pet dogs, okay? I'm petting, I'm not talking about a nice scratch here, okay? What they like to do, what children do is this, okay? And again, you wouldn't like it. It's something twice as tall as you, a little bit unsteady on their feet, comes over you, and it goes on your face, boom, 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 okay? So there is 3 things that animals do in situations where they feel threatened. And this could be a situation when they feel threatened, okay? And it's the 3 Fs, okay? Flight, freeze, or flight, or fight, sorry. Flight, freeze, or fight, okay? So you're walking in the forest and you see a rabbit, okay? That rabbit, probably the first thing that they might do, if you're very close to them, they just might freeze and they won't move. And they'll say, you know what, if I stop here, it'll pass. It's not gonna do anything to me, okay? The next thing, if you approach to that rabbit and you're trying to grab it, the rabbit is just gonna leg it, just gonna run and disappear, okay? But if you manage to get this rabbit, okay, I'm not sure if you can buy it, try to grab it and howling and the dog is not happy and the rabbit is not happy, you might throw a little back, okay? So if we talk dogs, okay, they do behave in a very similar way. But there is a number of behaviors that you guys need to be really, really careful with, because there will be behaviors that are telling you, I'm not happy with this. So the first thing the dog is gonna do is probably freeze. So they turn over, and the dog and the dog just sits there, and these children start to pat it on the head, pull ears, do this, poking the eye, give me the ball, trying to grab it, and the dog is not really happy with all this. Okay, your dog is gonna start throwing the behaviors we've been talking about. It's gonna yawn, it's gonna look away, it's gonna sniff around, it's gonna scratch, it's gonna pant. Okay, and kids want this. A 4-year-old shouldn't know this. Okay, but the parents should, and the parents should be responsible enough to supervise that interaction. Because if the parents don't intervene here, things are going to escalate. Next thing, if the dog is still uncomfortable, the dog is going to run and hide away. Where do they go? Under the bed or in a corner, behind the sofa. And then they're trying to flight, but there is no escape. What do the children do? They follow, and they continue giving all these hugs, all these kisses, and doing what they think is okay. Obviously, for the dog, it's not. So the dog is cornered, and then it's going out through what we call the ladder of aggression. Okay. Next thing the dog is gonna do is his eyes are gonna show the half moon, which is what we call as in when the dog's normally the pupil is quite big, to see the white of the eye of the dog, but the dog is gonna probably freeze and just go, and you're gonna see a lot of the white of the eye. Okay. The next the dog is gonna go, if that doesn't work, okay, it's gonna go waddle up, and it's gonna growl. And with that growl, it's gonna be a deep growl, and it's telling the kid, back off, I'm not happy with this. If this doesn't work, if the kid doesn't get the message, the next thing is gonna be, just probably trying to throw a bite, probably not attacking, it's gonna go boom. It's not mark the skin, it's gonna make blood, but it's telling the kid, back off, okay? Kid doesn't get it, ha ha ha, he's playing, he's whatever age it is, parents are having drinks or oblivious to it, okay? So the dog goes for the next level. The next level will be a proper full bite, okay? It will make blood, it will actually do some damage, okay? And this is when the parents go, oh my God, this dog just suddenly has gone crazy. They were playing with the dog, the kids were, giving the dog kisses, and then the dog just has gone crazy. The dog has not gone crazy. The dog has been giving signals and signs, sometimes depending on the tolerance of the dog, sometimes for months. But this is something that maybe parents have failed to pick up. Is everyone hearing me okay? Can I have some thumbs up? Okay. So then we have our children who's been beaten, and we have, a dog that probably would be put to sleep. Okay. But it's not the dog's fault. Now, the problem with this, if this dog is not put to sleep, or if this dog is, or if the situation is not managed, is that the dog has suddenly learned that freezing doesn't work, flying doesn't work, barking, growling, showing the teeth doesn't work. What has it worked? Biting. Okay, so the dog is gonna save all this repertoire of behaviors, all the growling, all the showing teeth, all the snapping in the air, and it's just gonna go from 0 to 100, like that, okay? And this is when you suddenly have a kid who's just next to the dog. It might not even be interacting a lot with the dog, but the minute that the dog sees a threat, the dog just goes for the attack. And this is what for us is an unpredictable dog, a dog that you cannot trust because suddenly just goes for what he knows it works, okay? So we have failed the dog to obviously we've had a little out of it. And so another thing with the bed command, if you have a bed command, and if the dog is quite happy to go to their beds, bed should be the little quiet place for the dog. This should be the sacred space, dog, if you like. If the dog goes to his bed, children are not allowed to go over to the dog, okay? Especially because if you have trained your dog to remain there, the dog might feel like should follow the dog. Is making any questions?
Yeah, this last bit you've been off a bit, so the video is frozen, and I don't think I saw some messages that we didn't all hear what you were saying. Just the last maybe minute or two.
Can you hear us, Paco?
Hello? Hello?
Yeah.
Can you hear
Can
me
hear
now?
you
Yeah.
now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did you get what I said about the bed when you send your dog to bed and there is children in the room?
Well, I heard that.
Okay.
The first
Okay,
half.
so
Yeah.
the bed is, yeah, okay. So you need to be aware of all these behaviors, okay? And if your dog is starting to throw these behaviors, recognize that and you need to manage the situation. And that might means, I'm really sorry, little boy, but I don't think he wants to play. But I love dogs. But, and your parents might say, but he loves dogs. Well, for the safety of the dog, if the dog leaves the room, the children shouldn't leave. The dog shouldn't go behind. Is that okay, guys? Is that clear? Cool. Right. Any questions about this?
So what if the dog seems to actually like kids?
You will see a dog that actively looks for that interaction, that keeps going to the dog, that is to the children, he is happy interacting with the children, that it might initiate a game with them, it might feel playful, okay? If you see it's quiet, if you see the calming signals, if you see the ears back, if you see the dog lip smacking, if you see the dog just trying to sit, if you see the dog running away, then that's a dog that is not happy. If you see a dog that brings a toy to the children, that it rubs their body against them, you know, that if when they're trying to give it a cuddle or a tickle, he pushes against that hand rather than going away from the hand. That might tell you that the dog is actually enjoying that interaction. But in the same way, when you see two children playing, and 1 minute they're playing, and then the minute after things start to get a bit, you know, oh, you need to control it and you need to manage it, because your children and your child, I wouldn't put that responsibility there. They are children. You know, you should be the one to say, you know what, I think this is enough. Both for the dog and for the child. Maybe the dog is just getting a bit too excited and started to jump up, start to mouth. You say, you know what, no, that's too much. And the same way from the children point of view. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Right. That's all that I have for you guys tonight. I'm hoping that you have enjoyed these sessions. Any other feedback? I know Virginia was, you know, giving some feedback. Chris was giving some feedback. You know, any other feedback that you have, anything that's, for example, guys, I can take it. I can take it on the chin. I got broad shoulders. Anything that, if we did this session again, you would like me to do differently? No?
No, I think it
Chris?
was good. Thank you.
No, I mean there will always be things that we can think of later, so we'll make a note of them, a mental note.
Violeta, anything to?
It was a great learning experience, and I have a notebook here, and I already have 5 pages.
Okay. We go 50-50, okay? Don't publish it unless I tell you to do so.
Okay.
Okay, cool. And in terms of, again, if you want to think about it and put it on an email, fine. If you want to mention something now, anything else that, you know, as an organization, you know, we could do, anything that you feel we could do more of, less of, feel free to, you know, if there is anything that you guys think that we should think more out, say, okay? If you prefer to put it on an email, that's fine as well.
No, I mean, for me, I think the main thing is whenever we have a new litter and then volunteers are considering taking a pup, I think it would be very useful for them to see these videos or have some training so that first they know what they commit to, and then they know how to do things properly. Because, you know, they may be full of good intentions, but if they don't know what they are supposed to do, they could be doing the wrong thing and not even know about it. So I've enjoyed these sessions a lot. I would have liked to have them 12 months ago. Because I know I did some things with Daisy that were not appropriate, if she, you know, like the spending, for example, and things like that, just because I didn't know at the very beginning. I mean, now she's going to be breeding, so it's different, you know. But I still think it's a shame not to do the right thing just because we don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, if you don't know, then, you know, nobody can blame you.
No.
Cool. Okay. We need to have this kind of training more often in the future. I'm not sure if this is the first time you did it, but I think it should be an usual thing. Cool, Violeta, thank you. Right. Anybody else? Anything else?
I mean, I would say the same. I mean, I can't compare because we're not normal volunteers. I don't mean normal, do I? We're not usual volunteers. We just had Delta for the occasional weekend when Stan needed, you know, for her somewhere to go, and then we ended up having her for this period because of the lockdown. But certainly these sessions have been really, really useful for us because we'd had no information before that just because of the situation. So I think they're really helpful, and definitely if we were going to have a guide dog long term, then I would really like support like this, maybe once a month or something like that.
Cool. Useful feedback. Thank you.
Oh, and the other thing I was going to say is I really liked it when you changed it like a couple of weeks ago, so we did questions first rather than questions at the end. I think that was good. Yeah. Cool.
Thank you. Yeah. Cool. Fantastic. Yeah. Good feedback. Right, guys. Unless you got anything else. Hi, Christian. I just seen your name just there. I don't know how long you've been there. Hopefully you got some of this. But yeah, guys. Well, first of all, as well, thank you very much to everyone who is, you know, looking after our dogs. We couldn't do this, you know, without you. That's it. Full stop. You know. And I hope that, and I think obviously by what you are saying, I think this has been really useful, and I'm happy for that. And yeah, just stay safe. If you got any questions, if you got any feedback, shout. You know, we will do our best. Obviously, getting the feedback we are getting now, we will do our best to, you know, to make some changes that reflect this. And again, as Regine was saying, you know, if there is new puppies coming in, new volunteers coming in, you know, it would be good to have, you know, training there before the pups arrive, and continue training after that. Yeah, continue support after that. Right, guys, it's been a pleasure to meet you all. Hopefully, we can see each other again, whether if it's in Bucharest or in online or in Austria. As I said, take care. Thank you very much for everything that you guys doing for the organization, and hopefully speak again soon.
Thank you. Bye
Thank
bye.
you.
Thank you so much,
Thanks,
Paco.
Bobby. Thanks, Paco.
Thank you. Bye.